Welcome back to our course. Let's have our nested loop. From the naming, it is clear that we have two loops. One of them is inside the other. Let's start by writing the outer loop. For x in range, let's say 2. This means that x will count two numbers starting from 0, so it will have the values x equals 0. Then on the other loop, it will have x equals 1. Let's have our inner loop now. For y in range, say 3. Of course, we have our colon at the end. What will this loop do? It will print y. But we have three values of y starting by a default 0. We have 0, 1, and 2. Let's, after each y of them, have an empty space. So we write and equals between quotations our empty space here. After having all the three values of y printed, let's go back to the x loop or for x loop. So we have our shift tab here, and let's print, just have our brackets, which means that the last line printed will be left empty, and consequently any other print needed will start on a new line. Let's have our run here. 0, 1, 2 on one line and 0, 1, 2 on the other line. What really happened here is that we have an inner loop for y loop and an outer loop for x loop. Our program starts with the for x loop, the outer loop, and we have x equals our first number 0, and starts executing what's under, which is the yellow block. So it starts with y equals the first number 0, then the second number 1, then the last number 2, and therefore it counts 3 numbers, which means y in range 3. And it will print every y, leaving a space between each number. After executing the yellow block, it continues the red block. It prints the rest of the line empty and goes to the next x, which is x equals 1. So we have here x now equals 1, and it starts executing what's inside the for x loop, which is the for y loop. So it has y equals 0 again, the for y loop counts another y, which is 1, and counts a third y, which is 2. And once the yellow block is complete, it continues with the red block, prints again the rest of the line empty, and our program will make sure that all x's are counted, which were 0 and 1. And therefore we have the print here 0, 1, 2 and 0, 1, 2 here. Let's have something extra now. Let's have our y counting from 1 to, let's say, 5 instead of 3. This means that it will count starting from 1, not from 0. You can control the start number. And the last number is excluded. Let's see what happens now. It counts 1, 2, 3, and 4, and the last number, which is 5, is excluded. Let's have all these to be comments, and let's start a new nested loop. Let's have our rows equals 2, and have another statement on the same line using our semicolon. Columns equals, let's say, 3. And let's have another variable, which is symbol, equals between quotations, the string, say, the multiplication sign or the asterisk. What will we do? We will print a matrix of these asterisks. So we need a nested loop. The outer for the rows and the inner for the columns. So our outer loop now for x in range rows, our variable rows. And let's have our colon here. The inner loop for y in range our variable columns. And let's have our colon here. What will this inner loop do? It will print our symbol, leaving a space between each symbol written by and equals an empty space here. At the end of the line, we will just print an empty line using our Shift tab, print, which means leave the rest of the line empty. Let's have our run here. Yes, we have 2 rows, 1, 2, and 3 columns. So the outer loop counts the rows, and inside each row we have 3 columns, because columns are 3. Inside each row we have 3 columns here. This concludes with our nested loop, one loop inside the other to be executed.